What's up? What's up? I'm gonna give everybody a couple minutes to get in here. I know I started late, so basically, Jay Powell said a whole lot of nothing. Really, he just told everybody that they have inflation in mind, and they said that they understand the hardship that high inflation is causing, and they're strongly committed to bringing it down. So, and then also some bullshit about how strong the American economy is, which is totally bullshit. So basically, he just kind of talked to. It sounds like almost, in a way, almost in my opinion, it sounds like kind of desperate. But I mean, it might affect markets. We can see that we started to push a little bit. Um, see how the dollar index is doing. Yeah, so obviously we see the dollar is pushing down a little bit. We're still bullish on the 4 hour here. Um, Depending on how you draw it, maybe if you say this is a swing, you might say we're bearish now. I can see that notion too. It definitely looks like the dollar is gaining some weakness. So what this will do is it will, if it continues to gain weakness, it will pump assets. And that's usually what happens um, FOMC meetings or, uh, you know, him just speaking today. He was just testifying. Um, so it's expected to see that volatility and to see the dollar fall most of the time, unless for instance, say if we have insurance or not insurance interest rates that are expected, and say if they're a lower raise or a higher raise, that can be more extreme. Usually if they're expected, it's bullish. If they're lower than expected, it's bullish. It's higher than expected, it's bearish for assets. Let's see how this is relating to gold, because usually gold has a really big impact off of this kind of stuff. I want to see what demand I'm in, because this is a really big zone. I need to refine it. I think it's weekly. No. Why do I have this huge zone drawn? Oh, weekly demand. Why? It's weird. It's not showing on the weekly. I'm just going to delete it because it's too much. Are we engineering some sell side here? Or did it get cleaned up? No, it's still getting engineered. I think gold's going to set up some really nice shorts. One thing I did want to go over, I didn't catch this move, but we talked about GBP USD quite a bit. We talked about it yesterday, and I put it on Twitter for you guys. It didn't come all the way down to the POI on Forex.com. On other brokers, it did. It came into this zone and then moved, I think, like 100 pips, roughly. Oh, 150 pips. So I didn't catch that move, but hopefully some of you guys who are a little more, um, who chart on your own and stuff. I know a lot of you guys are just really learning, so I don't expect you guys to catch those, but hopefully some of the guys that have been doing this a while and are just watching, they took advantage of this. It's a really clean setup. Um, we can identify in the 4 hour that we're bullish here. We got to break a structure there because that's gonna be a pullback for me. I mean, um, 100 pips. That's definitely a pullback for me. So we came up, broke that high, and then we retraced back into discount, engineered a lot of sell side liquidity, and left a point of interest that hadn't been touched into. And price did what it does best, and it sweeps that liquidity, pushed into that zone, and off she went. What I will do is I'll watch for, let's see where I would see. You could mark two zones. So really, what I'm doing here is once price comes into this zone, at the time of it going into the zone our way. So the 15-minute was making, we had like our internal structure was starting to be a little bearish here. We pushed up. Okay, now we're making lower lows and lower highs. Push up. Let's see where the next high would be. Right there. So then we can make a low, high, low, high, and so on. You can see we're in a pretty clear bearish market, right? So then what happens here? We have those internal highs, and I'm not going to get into how to do internal structure right now. We've gone over it in our group and in the Discord. But we came down, and then now, we being aggressive, you would mark another internal high right here because that candle broke the previous candle's low, or the candle after it broke its low, I should say. So I guess the high would be right there. So, we broke above that. We started to change that nature of just making lower highs and lower lows. And that was also coming off of this point of interest right here. We could have moved this a little bit to both inside bars. I think that's what it responded to. And then when we go back, we can look and say, okay, well, what demand? Because if we broke above an old high, when we were making lower highs and lower lows, of course we had to see some form of, there was some kind of demand that entered the market. So whenever we're looking at this chart, we can look at this a couple different ways. You could be very broad and you could say this whole candle, right, the whole down move, right? Because we know that smart money is buying on the down move. This is where they're buying. This is where they're setting orders. It's in this candle, in this area. So then you see, I mean, that worked because price broke above it, came right back in that area, barely even touched into it, and then moved, to the upside. But there's a way we could have done this a little more refined. We use this candle, and oftentimes this range is correct. But when we really look at price, we know that the buying really was created. We've referred to it a lot. We have these inside bars. So what is an inside bar? That's just going to be a range on a lower time frame. So we know that price pushed through that zone. But when we look at what's really going on here, we have supply in this candle. Now, anytime we have a break of structure, whether it be internal or a 4 hour swing structure, we have supply or demand that caused it. Now, the level of the break of structure does dictate how strong that zone is. But regardless, if you're on a 1 minute, you have this, you have supply. So we know that price broke through this we had tapped into this supply zone right there. When we see that reaction, we got to see price push up, and then we have a supply zone, and then we see price react to it to kind of confirm our suspicion that there's supply there. So we see a reaction, and then price pulls back in this inside bar and then blasts through it. So we know that demand was created in there. We also have a small fair value gap there, very small, but that does matter. That just shows displacement in the marketplace. Price was pushing so hard that it left that gap. So now, what I'm going to do is I will wait for price to return here. I won't just long it off of it, but I'll wait for price to go bullish on the maybe a 1 minute in that zone. Because the 4 hours bullish, we know there was a lot of demand created here. We might not get it. You got to be totally okay with the fact that you might miss that trade. It definitely might happen, and that's okay. But if we're looking at this now, we say, okay, well, I missed that move. I'm not going to chase it. There's no way in hell I'm going to just FOMO into that and chase into it. It's just so I know I can. You know, we could also plot. You can plot more than one zone because we have supply up here as well. There's supply in this candle. So then we could say, we've got another flip zone right here. I like this one too. And you don't have to just pick one zone. This is the beauty of using the lower time frames for confirmation. I don't have to just pick, one zone and stick with it and say screw all the other zones. I can set alarms on both these zones and watch for the both or watch the same kind of price action. If price comes into it and we get on a 1 minute and we see it, price is making lower lows and lower highs, just like it was over here internally. And we see that switch, that change of character. We can look for demand just like we're doing right now. It's the same thing on the 1 minute. Price comes down, bam. So you can set alerts for both these levels. And another one, you can always set alerts for the extreme, which would be all the way down here. That's fine. I'm not going to do that right now because I know that if price comes into these zones and I have these alerts, I'm going to be watching it. And then, if price just decides to push through these, then I might look to play here. But what I will say, in my experience, the flip zones are usually what you see reactivity from in these scenarios. Also, I wanted to look at the Aussie dollar. It hit a POI. Yep, it was like 3 in the morning, or yeah. See, I got an alert and it like actually woke me up. See, it was like 3 o'clock, so I was like, I'm not gonna, not gonna take that. Unfortunately, I wasn't trading that type of night, but it's another setup we've been talking about. Um, Shame when those happen that late. You kind of wait for them, and it's okay though. I'm not really too worried about it. So here it looks like this whole down move was kind of our order block right here. The last down candles before that move. That's what price reacted to. And then we have that demand or that supply that was introduced that sent us back down here. When we look, that was broken right there. So I'm going to look at this order block right here. That's going to be another POI for me. We kind of moved away from it more than I'd like, but if I can get price to come back down in there and the 1 minute start to reverse, just like we were talking about with everything else, that pattern right there is going to be our best friend right there. And it can go on a 1 minute and show you how it looks whenever we did come into this zone. Because maybe you were risky in that first big zone we came into. You could have used this same logic. Why doesn't this want to select? There we go. So for instance, price came down. We're making that bam. Okay, lower low, lower high. Okay, here's a new high. This would be your high right there, and then we broke it right there. So doesn't have to be like swing structure where the old low or the old high has to be broken. It's just a candle to candle basis. If a candle produces a new high or low after it, then that's going to be a high. So we have a high right there. Okay, look, oh, our price is broken. Say if you were watching this and you said, I'm going to get in on this order block, which would be this whole range, because we're on the 1 minute, you can use range, supply, or demand here. Price broke above it, it quickly moved back down into your zone. You are entered immediately. That's exactly how I enter a lot of trades. That's how we got in Bitcoin yesterday. You could have done this. Could have said stop loss below the zone or stop loss below the recent low. Regardless, you had really good risk to reward. On a 1 minute, before we even got my trigger, you had hit 6R. Now I don't take trades that risky, personally. If we're moving down into these zones, 15 minutes bearish. I want the 15 minute to switch bullish. That's just my style. Um, Sometimes it has you missing trades. Like for instance, there was an opportunity off the 15-minute here. If price you saw price break down, okay, well you could have plotted your zone right here, and then we could see the same thing occur over here and get really good risk to reward too. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time you'll get a similar setup. But for instance, right here, here's your internal high. You broke above that. Could have just used the whole zone. You got tagged in right there. Stop loss under there. Came close, you can stop that over here, but you didn't. Very similar risk to reward. And you can take whenever this happens, you can take a very quick in and out trade. Say if you're trading counter trend, that would result in 4.5 R is amazing, especially for something that takes an hour. Um, so there's nothing wrong with taking a little scalp like that, or maybe you had a higher time frame narrative of what was going on, and that's like for me, I think that we're gonna move up to at least around this zone in here. I want to see that imbalance filled. So it would have been a bigger move to take it all the way up there. Let's look at Bitcoin. We'll review that play a little bit. I mean, we went over it live. We called it live, or called the first one live. But I do want to touch on it. You know, we had delete this VPR. So we've been talking about this zone for a while, for like 3 days now. And we shorted Ethereum the other day. We got some profits off of it and then got break evened. And I anticipated that might happen because this zone on Bitcoin had still been left untouched. We had these equal highs building up. The buy side liquidity is building up. All of the people who are getting into shorts all through this range, their stop loss, if they're trading retail, is going to be, all of these highs. They're going to look at that as resistance. They're going to say price isn't going above that. So there's a lot of buy stops there. Those buy stops, they're covering short positions. So if someone's shorting, if everybody gets short, throughout here, all of their stop losses are going to be in that zone. So, smart money, they love stopping traders out, and it's not, necessarily a personal vendetta where they just want to, ruin retail traders. More or less, they're creating liquidity for themselves to either, open or offload positions. So, for instance, if hedge funds want to go short and they want to manipulate price, they're going to push it back to an area that they went short from before because they still have area or orders in that area, and it's going to be a vested area for them. So when we look at this price action over here, first of all, we always are using the higher time frame, to develop these zones and develop this higher time frame narrative. So here we know that at this time, we are in demand on the weekly. We did produce some new 4-hour demand, but we have to expect, well, I mean, if you trade my style, if you use market structure, um, we have to expect that our strong high and our weak low, this is what we're trading off of. So, and this is why so many people wanted to say that this was accumulation and this was the bottom, when in reality, it was just bearish price structure, and a lot of people got tricked. People were buying here and then it pumped, they got really happy. Oh, this is, we're going up from here. This is the bottom. But in all reality, you're just becoming liquidity, for to be absorbed by smart money selling off Bitcoin. Because just using the simple concept of market structure, we're still bearish here, just like we're still bearish here. Now, every trend comes to an end, and that might change. If we get a closure above that level, great. Then we are bullish. But until then, we have to trade with the expectation that price will come down and take this low, and that we're going to try to position ourselves in that lower high. Because if you look, for instance, if here was your high and then your lower high is right here, that's the best entry for shorts, and you target this, and then you can short all the way down, find an entry. But the thing here was when we had a 4-hour supply zone, which was this big candle, this one right here. But that was a little bit big of a zone. So what we did is we drew it, but then we looked, we want to see, okay, what's really going on here in that zone. Oops. So we drew it, and then you look for the displacement. And when I say displacement, the animated moves, these big groups of down candles. That's what you look for. Because that's where the selling really started. So then we look right here, and you could have refined it down to this one candle. Originally, I had it like that, or you could just say, the whole zone. So we know that this started because we have a huge fair value gap. And then what also brings value to this zone, makes a high value POI for me, is not only is it followed by inefficient price action with this imbalance, but we have equal highs front running it. That's called inducement. That's inducing retail to believe this is support because smart money intends to push price back up to this zone. And I know you're probably thinking, uh, this is, oh yeah, it's like, what is some guy sitting here doing all this, like putting in the orders? No, it's algorithms. It's all algorithms. That's why it's so clean, and that's why it's easy for us to, well, not always easy, but that's why a lot of times it's easy for us to follow the footsteps of what is going on. We can look. This selling really started the redistribution schematic that pushed us down and got that 4-hour break of structure. So it's a high value area to me. I had a couple others drawn. You could have drawn over here too. But the thing with that was, this is our high and here's our low. Very quick fib drawing will show you, our optimal trade entry is going to be up between that 62% and that 79% fib. So I would have, I looked at this, but you obviously got no confirmation, right? We still want to use our confirmation. So that, POI kind of got violated pretty quickly. And whenever you're using POI or you're selecting your POIs, you want to have, a deep premium. If you're looking for a bearish POI, you want to have liquidity. You want to have fair value gap. This, we did get a break of structure here. Very obvious displacement, but there was not really much front running it, not much liquidity in front of it. It wasn't in a deep premium. So we know the big dogs really probably didn't start selling their biggest bags there. It really began up here in that 4-hour candle because really were selling all through this. That's what distribution is. They're selling on the up move. They sell some offload here, push up to induce liquidity, sell, and then here's your last point of supply. And this isn't a beautiful Wyckoff schematic, and I'm not sitting here saying that it's picture perfect, but I'm looking at it for what actually happened, not like, oh, we're accumulating. This is the schematic B. Not, I hate those schematics because they paint out these occurrences like there's some, bull flag or something. Whenever you're just looking at it for the occurrence, like what is actually happening. What are the components of this move, and how do you identify those components? So we know that this is where selling began. We have inducement in front of it. A lot of equal highs. So we're building up and engineering that sell side. Then you start to see it becoming manipulated. So you see the early signs of weakness here. We see a high broken, and then following it, we have a break of structure. This is where we were shorting ETH this day. We saw it move to the downside, but look, Bitcoin hadn't got what it needed. Now, if you notice, it engineered even more buy side liquidity here with these lows. So now or I'm sorry, sell side, forgive me. Buy side is buy stops, which is going to be above. Sell side is your sell stops, which is going to be below. So now it's engineering, anyone who's going long in these zones, they're looking at this as support. Their stop losses are going to be there. Okay, if we go into there, then also you have the retail people who want to short that are looking at this as some kind of breakout level. Oh, if price breaks down from there, I'll short with volume. We're going down. Which, who knows, that might work for them, it might not, but we know that smart money just engineers liquidity so they can offload or open positions. So for instance, if we're engineering liquidity, if we're in a bearish market and we're engineering the sell side, but we're not offering it yet. So if we know the buy side is being engineered more, and if we're in a bear market, this is why structure is paramount. I cannot stress to you guys how much market plays a role in everything you're doing. Because if you do something on your structure wrong, or you have a biased perspective because you want to be bullish on something and you find all these little reasons to be bullish, but it's simple. If your swing structure is bearish, you have to be looking at everything in bearish context. So I'm looking at it like, yes, the sell side and the buy side's being engineered, but if I'm anticipating we're going to push down, I'm anticipating this buy side's just being engineered for smart money to open position. So price pushes up. We talked about this Earlier this week, it did exactly what we wanted to do. Pushed up into it. We got a break of internal structure right here, right? So then we took one short that got stopped. Totally, that's okay because a lot of people that use low time frame execution, they spend all this time plotting stuff, and then when it's time to move, they get scared and they don't want to do anything. So we right here was our trigger. We broke down there. So now we were down in this zone, and this whole zone was our 15-minute POI. Now refining it a lot of times is better, but I know, like we just talked about with the forex pairs, the range supply a lot of the times, in these changes of characters, sometimes stuff moves fast, and I was pretty convicted in this level. I was confident in it. I'm confident that my market structure is correct, that we are bearish, that this could be a lower high. I would have taken another L. I would have taken 2 or 3 L's off this zone happily. It's okay because I know the system that I use works most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't, but I understand that, and I'm willing to just act. I'm not gonna think about it. I'm not gonna, you know, kick the sand and cry if it doesn't work because I know that I have my edge over the market. I have that light edge because I know it works. It doesn't work every single time, but if I want to maintain my edge, I have to keep my strategy mechanical. So price breaks down, right? Okay, then at this point, what are you looking for? You're looking for price to push into this zone and then get another break of structure. Now, what happened? We got one right here, but that wasn't really satisfying for me. I was kind of like, that's personally what I'll do in these situations. Like if price was over here, I'd wait for this to get broken again, and that's what happened. Now, whenever we're trading the 1 minute, theoretically, you could have waited. What I did, I just went ahead and market executed because I'm using this stop. My targets are like 18K overall. So, I'm and even these first targets that we've already hit. I think we went. Oops, just move the. These first targets that have already hit. That we've already hit like 15 risk to reward in this trade. So my targets were far enough away to where I know I can take a L, and also I could have had a bigger stop loss when I started. So, if I'm here, I'm looking and say, okay, well, we've got two breaks of structure. Theoretically, you could use this supply. You could have said, I'm going to wait till we come up here and I'm going to short. I'm going to put my stop loss above it. But, you could have done that. You got stopped out there. What we did is I just waited. We market executed whenever we broke down, and I just put my stop loss here. Now, could I have put my stop loss up here and we never got stopped out? Sure. But look at that stop loss. I would rather take this trade or this trade and get stopped out and take a L rather than to take a trade like this because this is just lazy. This is like having an overall understanding of like what you think is going to happen, but you really don't understand what's actually going on because you're just going to put a really wide stop loss and hope it works, because you get stressed out when you take a loss. That's a problem. That means you have no system if that happens. Not saying that if you use a wide stop loss, I'm saying, but if you are using this because you're afraid you're going to get stopped out, you need to reevaluate what you're doing. So what happens here? We get stopped out. There's a couple people in chat, or upset, and they're like, "Oh, we got stopped out. Oh my gosh," And that's okay, but you gotta learn. You can't be like that. You know what I mean? Because we still have our bias. Okay, we broke. Now what happens? Okay, well, we wait for us to come up into a refined POI, and then we just have the same thing. So, okay, what happens up here? That break of structure right there. And yes, that matters. That's why you have to be on it with internal structure. It's very technical. So we had a low because this candle broke its high. Pullback because bam, we broke above that candle right there. You broke down. So we got one right there. And that was enough for me. I said, okay, you know, there we go. Like I'm just entering. Now you could have just waited and put a market stop up here on this candle. That wouldn't have worked. You wouldn't have got tagged in. I just market execute all the time, like especially when I'm trading with MT4 as well as my Binance. Um, the limits are going to be different, so I don't care to market order, especially if I'm trading off of. I built this around the 4 hour. My structure. I built the ID off the 4 hour. So I'm using the 1 minute to execute, but I don't need like people I've seen another thing too, like price will do this and they'll be like right here and they're like, fuck, I missed Bitcoin. And it's like, dog, like I mean yeah, this trade's like 50R if it hits, but you didn't miss Bitcoin. just because, it moved, you know, to 20R. 20R is a beautiful trade. I mean, you can make, 20R theoretically, if you just hold it the whole time, that's 20% of your portfolio in profits. Here, me and the server that took this trade, if you took it how I did, you took off about 30% here to de-risk, that's 1% profit. And you took another 20% here of your original position at, I think it was 10R. So, we've got, what is that? That's already 5R secured. Or I'm sorry, 2R secured. Or forgive me, my math's completely fucked up right now. Apologies. 2R secured off this, and then 1R here if you just secured that. And then once we came down here into 15R, your portfolio was sitting around up about 12% overall. After we shaved off the original little bits of this position, yes, we're at 15R, but if we shaved off half the position, 15R, if you're risking 1%, is you're sitting at about a 7.5% gain plus the three we had already secured. So really like around a 10.5% gain on your portfolio if you trimmed exactly how I did, which is being responsible. That's we weren't being degen about it, and that was in about 14 hours. This looks like redistribution like a motherfucker right here, by the way. But if we start to break down here, I'll confirm it. But uh, those are ridiculous gains. Like, for instance, people take a trade like this, and they're like, let's just say you took this right here, and everybody wants that because look, they're looking at percent. They like percent. They're like, oh my god, dude, we're up 300%. Fuck. But it's like, dude, it doesn't even matter because if you have a system of risk, you're only up 3.5% on your port. We did that in about, I don't even know. It was like fucking 5 minutes, 30 minutes. So it's like, dude, you gotta understand. That's what I really want to drill into your guys' head. If you don't take away the way that I trade or like the way I do TA, if you don't take away any of that, that's fine. But I do want you to take away that percent doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't. What means stuff is how much money you're actually making. And if you're just YOLOing shit on you know, every trade you take and you're putting a shitload on it, or maybe you have a really big port and you kind of justify low R just because you're okay. Well, I have a 200K port. 3R for me. That's a good bit of money. That makes sense. That does make sense. Okay, 3R is good. But I don't see why you don't fine tune your system if you have the time. Now, I don't mean everybody has time to do this because if you're not full time trading, you don't have time to use the 1 minute. You know, and also if you haven't been trading for a while, you don't have the psychology a lot of times to do it because it is frustrating sometimes. Like, dude, this whole thing could have happened. You could have waited for this for however long we waited for it. Price could come up here and then just, maybe gave you 3 entries that got stopped out. And each one of them, you uh, just you got burnt on and you just sat there and framed your whole week around it. And that happens, dude. That's happened to me. But once you have built confidence in that system and the benefits it can give, you don't care for that to happen. Because, for instance, if this trade hits all the way, because right now I'm just holding the rest of my position, right? I've made a good bit of my percent off of, or my portfolio off of it, a couple days worth of daily goals. If this hits all the way, I'm probably going to make around 20% of my portfolio. That's ridiculous. That's way more than my goal per month. So if I take this trade and it does work out, which we don't know if that's going to happen yet, but if it does, that one trade that took me a while to frame and took a little bit of patience to get that 1 minute entry and all that, people will clown on the 1 minute and all, but that one trade will make more than a ton of trades that people take with really big stop losses. So that's kind of my logic behind it. And I think it's really important that I'm not saying everybody should use the low time frames, but I am saying everybody should really be aware of this risk to reward and you really be in touch with that number because you can take less trades and make more money doing with smaller moves. Like Here's a platinum trade. This one actually kind of burnt me on the lot sizes, but if you look, price hit 17 risk to reward. Let's just move this down because it got stopped at entry after. It was such a baby position though. I was just gonna swing the rest of it, but I think it was actually 52 to 1. Now I took a lot off at 17, but 52 to 1. Now, if you were to just hold that, which would have been ridiculous too, but there really weren't many take profits other than, there was run right here, really, here, and here. So, let's just say if you shaved off 30% each time, okay, well, 30% at the first TP I took was right here at 22R. Or no, I think I trimmed it right here at this because it was 7. That's what it was. I trimmed it this order block because I was being conservative. So 17R, 30% off right there. You're already 6% of your port gained. Okay, then you trim off another 30%. So remember, you're only 60% of your port. So it's going to only be 60% of this. So that is going to be, well, let's just see. I think that's actually 35. I think it's going to be some 6 goes into that divided by. So you'd be basically making 58%. Hold on. So that'd be 67% of your port, and you'd be making 35% of that. So divided by 0.35. So you'd be making on that point, you'd be at 23% of your port gain. If you take 30% there, that's another 8%. So now, you're already up 14% of your portfolio, and this was a move that did not take long. It was literally a day. So, even those two take profits, and then let's say you took all the rest of the profits here, which I didn't. I took most of it off at that first one, but I'm just giving you guys, a perspective of what risk to reward can do if you use it correctly and you understand, the kind of money that you can make by using these lower time frames. But the thing is, you can't just use the lower time frames. You got to use everything in context of the high time frames. Everything has to be revolving around what's going on in the bigger picture. With platinum, we did TA all the way down from the weekly. I posted it up. I'm not going to go over it all right now. I think we went over some of it live, but it's on my Twitter. It's also on in our Discord. This is one of the more bullish metal charts. So, price was doing its thing on the weekly, super bullish, respecting demand, introducing new demand, respecting it. Still think it's one of the most bullish charts. The daily is also bullish. We got that pullback. We came back all the way down to this demand. New demand was created, and so whenever people are saying, I know a lot of people get confused with some of these smart money terms. So we had demand created here, right, in this area and this wick, but we know that there's demand in this candle because it's a pivot. It's an extreme. We know demand had to be created for us to move up. So demand was created there. Now, what happened when price came into this zone? We started to move up, but theoretically here, you hadn't really got anything just yet, unless, if you looked at this as your internal break of structure, which theoretically, if this candle right here, this down candle, if it went down below this candle first and then popped back up, that is a change of character because that candle created a new low, then the candle company took that low. We don't know if that happened because we're looking in hindsight, but we do know we started over here to shift bullish. So price still was in this zone. Okay, what happened when we got over here? Okay, price right here, or sorry, same thing with that candle. If price broke down first and then pushed back up, that was another change of character. That's what I anticipate happened. We're just in hindsight and we can't really look at it. And it's also a daily chart. So, daily charts change of characters are a little weird. But we know over here that you did finally, we know that demand was respected on a daily level. So that's really bullish, So at that point, we came back down wherever demand was in these wicks. You could have drawn fractal demand here, price came down, and then it started to do the same thing in the lower time frames. The demand is being respected across the board. That's what we say, or what we mean when we say new demand is being respected. Because if demand its job is to break structure. So if we have, a demand zone, right, and price, we have this zone here, price breaks out from it, right? So we know that there's demand there. Okay, well, price can do all this, and then it comes back down into that. Oh wow, price can move.
Morning, Poppy.
What's up? Price can come all the way back down in this demand zone. We don't know if it's going to respect it or not because at that point the internal structure would be bearish. So we want to see price start to do this. Now while this isn't a swing high, we're using internal structure. That would give us the bias that demand is being respected. And okay, look what had to happen here. This is what we mean when we say new demand was introduced. So look, because demand had to be introduced to break this. So then you'll see price a lot of times, and this is where you can have that power of three start to go on. I won't get on all that, but say range liquidity is engineered maybe in a range up here. It deviates to sweep that buy side, then it'll push all the way down because oftentimes there's a fair value gap here, and then you have a demand zone or equal, and all these equal lows. I should have drawn this a little different. Let's do like this to make it clear, because you're engineering a zone up above. Price is engineering liquidity on both sides, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Price goes up, deviates, the buy side raids it, so that way it can push back down, has enough fuel to push back down. It pushes into our demand zone here, and then some people just long off that. Some people wait for that same thing. And this has to be in context to higher time frames, but you'll start to see that power of three because you have your higher time frame demand. Price comes down into it, respects it. Then you can go over here in your lower time frames. New demand is being introduced consistently right there. So that's like your power of three. You have 1, 2, 3. You're tapping the same area, but really you're introducing new demand each time. And then your entry is going to be over here. Oops, wrong thing. So that's how you would be able to frame a trade off that. Yeah, if Bitcoin, because I think a lot of people want to be bullish on Bitcoin because of that JPOW meeting, but that to me, like, I mean, I may pump markets a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, that just sounds. I think anybody. I didn't watch it, but I did read a recap of it from a pretty credible source. Basically, he just went up and said a whole bunch of bullshit to try to make people, calm down or not be worried. Because all he did is, oh, we have a strong economy and this and that and da da da. All this bullshit because everybody's in fear of a worldwide recession. But so I don't know how much impact that will have in the long term. It did seem to have anticipation of it, you know, seem to do this, but a lot of times that's just engineering liquidity. All the retail hordes are coming in and they're, oh my god, we're bullish, buying, and then you're just pushing up into this supply zone right there. Because let's just hide this so you can actually see. So if you have your supply zone over here, right? The institutional candle, the fair value gap. Okay, what happened when price came into it? Okay, pretty clean. This is very clean price action right here. And you got that breakdown right there. And you didn't really get a return up to entry. And another breakdown here. Price maybe accumulate a little bit over here and push back up, sweep this. Because this happens a lot with Bitcoin. You'll see this, and then everybody wants to just set a limit off like this right here. Actually, this already hit. No, I did already hit. Never mind. Sorry, it looked a little different for a second. I thought these lows were under it. Yeah, I mean, that was an entry there. You could have just market executed on the break of structures. A lot of ways you could have took that. But if this maintains, we're gonna go down farther, which is what I hope happens. Because the 15-minute here is very bearish. Here was our swing structure before. We'd finally started to make a bullish move, making higher highs and higher lows at the swing level. And then bam, we broke down. Now the swing structure is pretty choppy. I don't know if you'd even mark all the swing structure right here. I probably wouldn't, but moral of the story is we're bearish. Now we're making lower lows and lower highs. Um, so I think we might have switched right here if you determine this right here as a switch. Because this would be a swing, I guess, for me. So you could say we switch back bullish and switch back again. So you could watch. I see the bull case, but I personally have to continue to go off the 4 hour, um, and I'm going to be short biased. Oops. I really want to see this. Love to see Bitcoin just fucking nuke to like 18K. That'd be beautiful. But let me go back over the comments and see if you guys have any questions. Sorry, I've been kind of just going. I did want to just touch on all that. Somebody asked if I could look at FLM. Yeah, sure. That was a while ago. I don't know if they're in here still, but I'll still look. I encourage, and this is just my opinion. I wouldn't even really look at these as much anymore right now because of the market cap of crypto and as a whole so low compared to what it's been. Right, we're back at like early 2020 before the bull run levels. So to me, that makes me not really have much interest in any of these low caps because a lot of the stuff that we are, the TA we're doing is based off of, smart money concepts. We're trying to track institutional order flow. And I don't think there's going to be that many institutions trading like FLM or something, you know. So you're going to have really sloppy price action. Like I wouldn't even touch it, but I'll do TA on it. So weekly, see, you're very bearish. So had price came up. Here was your structure. You broke it. And you had a pretty wide swing range right there, but I would say this is a weekly pullback. So now here's your weekly high. Here's your weekly low. Break of structure was right there. So what do we expect after break of structure? A pullback. We definitely got that. I don't consider this a break of structure because we didn't close above, and also it looks like a fat liquidity raid. We have this weekly supply zone. You definitely got a reaction. You front ran these highs. It's the same thing as that Bitcoin short. You had that liquidity building up, right? There's a lot of people that think if we break out here, we're going up. And also you have that strong high. There's a lot of liquidity there that got ran, but we didn't close. We didn't come close. See, we wicked all the way back down. Super bearish. So the weekly's bearish as fuck. Looking at this perp chart, you don't even have your target is just this weekly low at this point, 787. It's it seemed like you're well on your way to. This is horrible. I wouldn't. I mean, if you shorted it up here, but I hope people aren't in this in like equity or something. That we can refine that daily or that weekly zone down to a daily. You broke your you broke all. I guarantee lower time frame structure broke down first here. I don't know how you could have really necessarily taken this because little bit crazy. Again, I wouldn't even really be paying in mind, but you look at it from a 4 hour. There was your internal break of structure. You could look for a return anywhere in this zone, which is a huge zone. So I'm going to obviously refine it. Probably go ahead and do it to this candle. I don't think you'll necessarily get this, but if I had to refine it, so I go over here, you have this 3 drives distribution where you make a high, another higher high, and then liquidate raid, push down. So, where was the supply really introduced? It's going to be in this inside bar for me, because we could say this last up candle, but look, price broke down, pushed back up into that area. So for me, that's not going to be an area of interest. It's going to be this candle because price came down to this demand. Right, it came down to the demand, reacted, pulled back, and then blasted through it. So, if you wanted to be a bear here, which you should be, in my opinion, this is where you would look to really go short from. There's no guarantee you'll get this at all. I'd be surprised if you did. I mean, Bitcoin's gonna have to really rally for you to get that, which that might happen, but Then you also have this zone up here you could look at, starting to induce liquidity above it. Why is it not showing my zone? Okay, so you're starting to build up that liquidity above this or below this zone. Obviously, displacement came into the market there. Yeah, those are the two zones I'd be watching, but I wouldn't touch this for anything but shorts. You're also engineering a shitload of this, just all these lows down here, right above your weekly lows. Really, this area right here is what I'd be focused on. But you have a lot of equal lows down there. It's an overall horrible looking chart. Looks like straight exit liquidity right here. Dev rug. But like I was saying, I wouldn't really. I'm very close to removing everything off this list except Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe BNB, AVAX, and Solana. But I still have everything. I don't really look at it, but you really don't need more than Bitcoin and Ethereum, and especially with the way that the market is. Your market caps are extremely low for a lot of these coins, so you're not going to see clean price action. You're going to get everybody, like I said, everyone wants to chase percent. Everybody want, oh, but dude, Bitcoin doesn't move that crazy. It only moves 20. You shouldn't care about percent. If you're chasing percent, you're probably not making as much money as you could be if you understood, a good risk management system. Like, I know we've said it 50 times, but I won't go back into it. But yeah, so don't. That's what number one thing when people say like they want to trade like some crazy coin like SHIB or whatever. They're like, well, that shit moves 80% in a day. Bitcoin doesn't do that. It's like that's fine, but I don't need something to move 80% to make money off of it. For instance, we make more money off this trade that's moved. It moved not even like 7%, and that doesn't look that fun to flex 70% P&L. But you make more money than people that are making 300% if you size your position right. So that's where I don't mind to just trade Bitcoin and Ethereum. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather do it at this point where we're at. Sushi. So weekly, I don't know what I had this. I'm just gonna mark it all off. See, I don't. Maybe monthly demand or something. Yeah, you came into monthly demand right here. But I mean, oops, wrong thing. So I wouldn't really just use this whole zone because it's already been tapped into. You're going to get that reaction to it. But really, I think it's just engineering more liquidity. I wouldn't touch it until like this, at minimum, this little internal range right there in the weekly. That's a different monthly area, I guess you'd say, just to add in with the candle the same. But this would be the zone I'd be looking for, and preferably down into this last candle to fill that gap. But I think you're still just engineering liquidity. A lot of times you'll see a three tap. This happens on lower time frames. You'll see like one raid, push up, mitigate one raid, and then that's where you start to get that power of three. But there'll be a accumulation, manipulation, distribution, but in a bearish perspective on the lower time frames. But here we have this weekly demand. You have a low right in front of it. You did sweep this low over here. You remove some sell side. Personally, I would want it to come into that zone, just because I look for more supply and demand. But you're rating the liquidity. You've got a good demand zone here on the daily. We can refine it. And the reason I like it is because it's a sweep zone. And you swept that liquidity with this zone, pushed down, and then started to expand from there. The daily is bearish, but you have got this pullback that looks like it wants to begin. There's your daily high and your daily low, but how do we determine we have a pullback? Ideally, we want just a internal break of structure. Now, we saw with Bitcoin at like 22K or whatever, it faked us a lot of people out with this same price action. So one for me isn't necessarily super convincing. And remember, all that signifies is that you're beginning the pullback of this bearish move. So the expectancy is you're going to come somewhere into a premium. It's not required to go into a premium, but somewhere, some POI, some area, you're going to come into, and then you're just playing the pullback. And then once you get another change of character, you're saying the pullback's over and you're targeting this week low. So you could be pushing back, but you got to be aware that pullback could end at any minute. You have fair value gap. You're pretty much just filled. That might be enough. I don't know. But the daily did get a change of character. So at this point, we can say that we possibly are in a daily pullback. If we go on the 4-hour, we want to see, are we bullish on a 4-hour on the swing structure? And for me, if you look here, I mean, it's close. Like, because actually, let's see. No, because your swing structure before was this right here. So once you broke that, oh God, yeah, you're not, unless you got a closure down here. No. For me, the way I plot swing structure, you're not bullish for a while because here is your old high, your old low. It came up, we broke this low. So what's the highest point? Right there, it's your daily high. So we come all the way down. I was looking at this like a pullback, but that was before you broke down, so it can't be a part of this new price swing, or at least the structure of it. So we broke down. Now, then we come down here and we get a decent little pullback. And then, you'd say, oh, okay, well, right here. Well, we didn't close under it. So for me, that's not a break of structure. So that doesn't give us, a new high and low. So I look at it as, this is our high and low. So now we're still in the mindset that we're bearish. This is probably more so just a pullback when we're looking like this. We can look at the 4-hour the same way. We have this daily demand zone. We could refine it if we want. I would refine it down to here. But we see what happened whenever we started to reverse. The same thing that we saw on the daily. We're seeing the 4-hour. Looks like right here is our low that got broken. Price never retraced into it, which is not healthy in my opinion. I don't like when that happens. You leave that in balance. That usually, you see that on pullbacks. You won't see that in like a healthy trend reversal. I mean, sometimes you will, but on the higher time frames, usually I want to see that push up, mitigate, push up, mitigate. Then you start to really boom because it gave smart money the time to really accumulate, uh, um, position. So here, at this point, you had this supply. So you can start to plot POIs around, where our valuable zones. So we could just draw this whole big candle right here because we're not using the supply to trade. I'm just using it to see where we got a flip zone. So you see price kind of pushed up. Right here was a good zone. It looks like it's already been tapped. I wouldn't be longing this, but this would have been valid. You broke up. Remember that daily pullbacks? We got the 4-hour pullbacks begun. Where we looking to take it. Well, we can always expect it could end any minute, but we could look to take it maybe up to these supply zones or this fair value gap, however you did it. You know what I mean? So this doesn't look too good, especially once it happens in this fair value gap. You don't want to see that liquidity raid right there. You have the fair value gap. You do have the supply up here you haven't tapped into, but we got that break of structure. You could have said, okay, well, we're bullish, we're in pullback mode. You're really an aggressive counter trend trader. You came up into supply, pushed back, expanded from this inside bar, so we know that there was demand in this candle. Maybe you took trades off that. How could you have done that? Okay, well, if we were watching the 15-minute, if you're using the 4-hour for POIs, I use the 15-minute for confirmation. So then price comes down into it. Looks like we get a break right here, and then we can look at two zones, because you look at what sponsored this zone break. We've gone over, you can just use supply, the range supply, or sorry, range demand. So then you got, looks like, let's see if you got tagged in. No, you didn't, it looks like. Or like we were saying before, a lot of times with these reversals you can use flip zones, because this wasn't what sponsored the break, but we know, actually I wouldn't have used this zone because you didn't really tap into it yet. For me, I would have got left out on this one. I would have just used this. Price came into it, I would have probably got left out. Or maybe you were watching the 1 minute and it came close enough to your zone. Or did it touch it? Let's see. The zone was 116. Oh, actually, it did touch it right there. So never mind. You did get tagged in using the 15-minute, or you used the 1 minute for execution. You got, let's see where the high was.
I'm looking at Euro USD for shorts, bro.
Yeah, soon for sure. If it's getting up to that daily distribution,
it's right there at the LPSY from the.
Is it really?
It's about to hit it. I thought I should let you know.
Yeah, no, good shit.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, I want to short either here or this daily level. One of the two.
Do you think those equal highs get ran?
These right here?
On the 1 hour. because I was looking at yeah, those right there.
I could see it. Like, I mean, I would still watch this zone, but I really like this up here. Like, cause for me, the selling really started in this candle because like I
Yeah.
remember like when it pushed back up into because like the last thing we're looking at like this distribution, but there was like a lower time frame distribution like right there. So when it
Hmm.
pushed back up into that, and that's where the selling really started was in like this wick
Yeah, I
even.
caught that one right there, all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, that's when I remember you guys were kind of
Well,
anticipating
yeah,
that
I
one.
didn't catch it to the bottom, my bad. I caught it till where it took out this strong low, 1.0538.
Oh yeah, yeah. For me, bro, at this point, if I'm getting in shorts, I'm targeting the weekly lows.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I wanted to get it back in this. And then the other one was gold was putting in a 3 drive on the 5 minute. I missed the entry. It was looking really good for shorts.
I'm gonna watch this that zone. I like the zone. I don't did I just draw this? Or I think I had it drawn, I can't remember. But I like this zone and then
I
also
think you
the
drew it
daily.
last time we were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. And then the daily right here I like too.
Yeah, okay.
Because like the way
Well,
I look at it, like from like an ICT logic, like we can see that okay, the sell side's being offered, as the way he would say it. So like
mhm.
yes, there's demand, like supply and demand would be like say along here and all this, but theoretically you look from like where price really moved away from. So we moved away from this area, so we know that smart money was selling all through here. So they pushed down and they're still going to engineer more sell side. So it looks like from institutional logic, this shit's going to get clapped right
Yeah,
here.
the other one I'm looking at is AUDJPY. It's about to get back into premium right now
I don't even think I have this on my
in the
watch list.
range. I was just playing all JPY pairs the other day because of how it was acting.
Bro,
So
this
if you
shit's
look at it
unmatched.
on a on a 4 hour, you can pull the range from that high to the low, from the strong high to the weak low, or I guess it's a strong low now. But yeah, it's getting back up into premium. I'd like to short it in the inside bar on the 4 hour. There's a inside bar at 96, 121 ish around there.
Yeah, it looks good for short seam frac swings because if you look at the monthly,
Yeah.
we had this previous monthly high and low like PML and PMH, and then we broke above the monthly high with a daily reversal pattern. So we came up,
Hmm.
paused a little bit. We have this internal structure right there, gets broken. So now we're coming back up. You
Hmm.
know, we could draw all this if we wanted and push it over. And then if you see this if you see this low get taken right here, that's just probably gonna start tumbling.
Yeah. There was another one I was looking at. Um, fuck. I think GBP USD gave another entry for shorts. I caught 120 pips on it to the downside yesterday.
I wanted to long it today, but I wasn't awake. Well, I think I was awake for or it was either AUD USD or GBP. I wasn't up for. So this actually looks pretty good. So the 4 hour just shifted. Now it's like, okay, well, we're in this supply zone here. I'm gonna go to 15 minutes and see where we started really selling off from. I would want it to come up a little bit. I mean, it might. You've got a good flip zone over here too, I guess. But I would personally, I'd like for it to come up to like here. Oh, that actually is perfect right there. That's a nice flip zone too. So in that 4 hour exchange character, I want to find like where that occurred. So we have that supply and demand flip right here.
Yeah.
So it's like price came into it, bam. So I'm actually gonna set alerts for this. Good looks. I'm gonna have this on my watch list. I need to add it.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it to go back into premium, and it's a fucking short.
Yeah. 'Cause, yeah, you got that 4 hour. This is looking rough for sure. Let's go Bitcoin doing. Yep, that's a distribution. Hasn't really. Let's see if it broke an internal low. No, it needs a breakdown from here. It's
Here we
equal
go.
those.
Nasdaq's starting to break down finally.
This Bitcoin short's about to fucking pay my bills this month if it goes to full TP. I'm getting really close to where I'm gonna start risking 2%, but on my like Binance and stuff, but I'm not really feeling it yet. Because bro, if you just take less trades and you just hit only if you're only using 4-hour POI selection and use 15-minute for confirmation, like don't worry about all the other stuff. As long as you hit like one of those bitches, literally like one a month, bro. Like you're with crypto, you are like solid, more than solid.
Yeah, my boy Tyler, he trades he's been trading Forex since I made my FTMO account,
Hmm.
like beginning of the pandemic. Um he just swing trades, bro.
Just daily charts
That's
only.
all he does. He wakes up at London open, flicks open his phone, looks at the charts. I have his watch list. If any of those charts have a move on the 4-hour, he'll take it. If not, he'll go back to sleep.
Right.
All he trades is the 4-hour chart. And his biggest win was like, I think like 800,000 on a swing.
Hell yeah.
And
That's good
but it
money.
wasn't like a prop account. It was his personal money.
Right.
It was crazy. It was fucking nuts. Oh yeah, it's breaking down. Let's go.
I've been like a couple people have DM me. One person DM me yesterday, and somebody DM me today about like AXS. Like apparently they've got some kind of fundamental shit going on. I don't know, but people keep asking me about if I should short it. But I'm just like I said, I'm really like leaning towards only trading Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I'm kind of weaning myself off of futures and moving towards MT4 because I'm trying to just familiarize myself with the platform. One thing I will say about MT4 that I've figured out, Mang actually made this point to me because you know me, I'm a limit guy. Like I like limits. Like I like
You
waiting
can't
for like
set limits.
you can, but it's annoying. Cause I've been, and Mang was like, "Bro, what the fuck? You're a psycho. How have you been doing?" I was like, "Oh, well, I just look at the 15-minute structure here, and I have my phone, and then I just mouse over the same candle, and I figure out its open, high, low, close, and then add the spread." He was like,
Yep.
"Bro, you're a fucking maniac." I was like, "What? Is that not what everybody's doing?" He was like, "Fuck no."
Well, that's what we do, but the problem is that the the broker can see where your orders are. And the way that their platform works on the back end, they can flush those
Oh
highs
yeah, of course.
with
I
the
mean,
click of a button. So because of that, like you can check it's like trying MT4 is like Bybit,
hmm
and then using anything else is like using Binance. Like we both know, like I don't know if you've seen the Bybit candles, they're like $10 more on Bitcoin. So like if you set a limit sell and you don't account for like a $10 to $20 spread, you'll get wicked out like immediately. You'll
oh
go in
yeah,
and out of your position.
yeah.
And
No,
it
you
does
have
that on
to.
MT4. Like I've seen it happen where I'm sitting here trading futures like NASDAQ. It happened to me at the beginning of the month when it was like really volatile. I was
Hmm.
in a 15 lot on the NASDAQ, and it literally you could go back on the NASDAQ and see the candles. The exact thing bullshit I'm talking about.
Like
It
on
was on
MT4.
the June 15th. Um, it was just like
Let me go to
red candle, and then huge green engulfing candle, and then huge red candle, and then huge green candle. I'm like, what the fuck? I got
the
wicked
15th.
out on a position.
Oh, like this shit right here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. The spread. It's just like any kind of. I mean, you know, especially whenever you're using like a say, I don't know, a funded account or really not even the funded. I think it's in there. You'll see that hopefully at least I would think less on them than like a regular forex broker because like other forex brokers they make money more off that, but in essence, like FTMO, like yeah they might get your deposit or something, but most of the time people have got their deposit back. But um yeah, that the volatility can definitely fuck you with the spreads. Like for crypto, especially. Like for instance, I'm talking more about forex. Like crypto, I wouldn't ever try to do that. Not with low time
Yeah, no,
frames.
I don't really trade crypto on my MT4.
I
I don't know
will
how
say
your main do it. I'm a little
it's
too weary on that.
don't. Here's the system that works best. just like for instance, even if I have like a 0.5% or like $50 stop loss, I just don't use that. You know what I'm saying? I just use a wider one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like if you have a 300K account, you can open a 15 lot and have a $200 stop loss, and you're risking 1%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that system I feel like works better than trying to like, really get fine tuned in this and you know what I'm saying? Or just if you're gonna have a stop loss tag, but just watch trading view and if price starts you this is where I don't want to endorse this to people because I don't people won't follow this, but you can use like a mental, you know, but people you have to have been you know how bad that can go for some people.
Oh yeah.
Like people are like, oh yeah, easy. I'll just stop out whenever. And then they're like negative 80K. They're like, oh, it's coming back down, dude.
Another one that's looking really good right now is Euro CAD, I think it was. I was looking at, or I think it might have played out already. Check my fucking thing. It was a fat short, like fat short. Oh yeah, it already played out. Damn, I missed that. Bruh. 2 hour on Euro CAD, bro. I'm so mad right now. I forgot to set an alert on the channel.
What is it? You trying to long it? You missed a long, or you trying to short it?
I was trying to short to long.
Like the short
That
already
small
played out. You
short,
mean?
yeah,
Oh,
it
okay.
already played out.
I
That
was like,
short, and then it
whatever.
was gonna go long.
Today look like it's short right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'd take it here, but you just ran. It depends how this closes, but um,
Maybe US CAD might show up for
yeah,
the
I was watching
March,
that for
let's say.
shorts too. I don't know. I guess so. Like when I'm in like when I hit that Bitcoin, bro. Like there's some part of me that doesn't even like I still am looking at shit, but I just am not like I get like almost like not I won't say lazy, but I don't want to just keep trading, which I think's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? But like I'll hit something like that, and I'm just like I see status, I'm like, ah, it's not perfect enough. But no, I like this though right here because it's like you came in this zone over here and you ran all of these highs right here.
Hmm.
So if we start to see on real demon time, you might already shorted this, which I wouldn't have done it like that. But
Yeah, no, I would wait for it to come down the channel. I'd rather wait and miss it.
yeah, for sure. Like for here, for me, like for instance, if price like did this number, like we're in this zone, even if it like if this candle made a new high, like the candle we're in right now, if it made a new high, why does it keep? There we go. If it made a new high and then came down and took the low, like I'd short it there, but I wouldn't do it till then.
Yeah, the other one's setting up nicely.
Because this shit's
USD CAD. It's gonna fucking free fall.
yeah, I know that I was talking about that shit in stream yesterday. I
Clear
got
distro
stopped on a
vibes on
trade.
this bitch.
I got stopped on a trade yesterday, but it was like super tight stop. I still have an alert right here because I
It had
still
a nice reaction
yeah I think
off of that OB right there.
let's see the four
But I was
hour.
looking at a larger time frame. I was looking at the 4 hour chart. I want that order block to break to the downside, but I
This right
don't tell
here.
it what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I have that alert. So I was like, if this flips, because I had it set before, I was like, because this is a flip zone like a motherfucker. But if that breaks down, like it's going down. This looks like if
Yeah.
you look at the daily, bro, it looks like massive, like daily, like distribution. And then look at all the liquidity, like this, the
Mhm.
weekly lows, the daily low, and then also we push back into this daily zone and the weekly pullback. Like if we look at the weekly, um, it's in pullback mode, but we're getting up to that zone where it's like, dude, like this is our flip zone right there. That's like literally
Mhm.
the flip zone that pushed us down. So we could see, that weekly pullback end, and you catch some crazy moves.
Yeah,
I'm
that shit
gonna
we'll catch it down to the OB at 127 on the 4 hour
Bro, if I
minimum.
shorted this shit, I swear to God, I would take a lot there, but I would take it all the way down to fucking $1.20.
The weekly low.
I swear. But I mean, but not like, I'd be out 50% or more in my position.
No, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like that's one thing I've gotten better at too, like, is not like selling shit too early. Because there's a fine line between degenning and then like being like too aggressive. Be that guy like people are gonna now that people hear me say that, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm holding till full TP all the time. But No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is like if you have a narrative built out that gives you the framework of your trade, like don't get in the trade and then take profits and like if you're framing a weekly trade swing setup, like I see people do this, they'll set like this and then like price moves like 20, 30 pips, like I'm out because they see like that big ass number. That's why another thing, I always keep talking about how I want TradingView to have trading like on it, but I swear that would be bad for people. Like if you imagine if every time you're charting your P&L was right here.
I mean, it does have it, you just have to use one of the platforms that offer it,
No, no, that's what I mean. I
like
mean for
Oanda.
Binance. I mean, yeah, no, no, that's
That would be horrible.
yeah. I thought well, I would like it, but I know it wouldn't be good for a lot of people. Probably even
Like, you need
myself
to
at
pass a
times.
couple tests before they let you use that.
Yeah, because it's like you just see your P&L, you just take it immediately every time.
Mhm.
I was paper trading on TradingView for a little bit, and like I just was I was like, God, this is just engineered. Like literally, like if you open a trade, like I did on Bitcoin a couple times. I was open like 100 lots on Bitcoin just to see what it looked like, and it was crazy, bro. Bro, platinum was insane. I'm still big bull on platinum, but the thing with FTMO, I don't know about the actual account, but the trial they have, bro, the contract size is only one. So
Mm.
like every one lot is just one platinum, or, 1
I think
ounce of
that's how it is
platinum.
for mine.
Yeah, fuck that, bro. I won't even trade that shit. That kind of sucks, but whatever.
I think I have to do 2 more trades this month, and then it'll be pay months on it.
Gold's gonna be a nice short soon. I
Yeah.
want it to be a long first, but we'll
Yeah, I
see.
don't know about long in this bit, like, I was telling Flo, I was like, "Bro, there's so many other things that you can trade other than gold."
Hmm.
Like, there's so many like, gold isn't unless you have a port, like, the FTMO port's cool, but you could take a fat loss.
Yeah,
Like, this morning, I forgot, Jerry was trying to short gold, and it had, like, that fucking huge boner candle to the upside. I was like, "Oh my god."
bro.
Because
I wouldn't have touched
the
gold if
fucking
Pow J Pow's
pips,
speaking.
the stops on that shit is crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
your
it's
position
so
size
hard
is
to get a 10
small.
pip stop.
Your position size is gonna be so small because like their the contract side or size on gold is 100 on
Yeah,
almost
he's
every
like,
broker. So it's like,
Flo's like, "Oh, I got in off a 15-second." I was like, "Bro, it doesn't matter." I just started putting up articles so he can see how JP Morgan has gotten sued year over year for manipulating gold prices.
yeah, gold's weird. I mean, I'm not against trading it, but I'm picky with it. Like I've been watching it for I don't even know now, a week or so, and since I posted about it, I think in Forex Ideas, but I've been watching and I just still haven't even touched it because I'm so like not rushing to trade gold. Like gold is like Satan to me. Like I've made some good money off gold, but I know like what you're saying, it's just like it can fucking annihilate you. But it's you can make good ass money off that shit.
Yeah, if you happen to be on the right side of the manipulation, you'll fucking kill it. Like you'll never see a PNL go up so fast like you've seen it on gold. But if you're on the wrong side, oof. And then the thing is that with that, there is no smart money concepts because they trade it differently. Like it's not that JP Morgan doesn't trade it smart money. They use other macro indicators to move in and out of their funds. They just manipulate it to take all those people's money. It's crazy.
Yeah. What's NQ doing?
NQ is putting in a slight
Oh
green
yeah.
candle. I'm waiting for it to come down to this fair value gap. Possibly take some longs there to see if
I want
it'll
this shit
hold.
to dump.
Yeah, I wanted it to dump too.
Like look at that, because it's
Yep.
like, bro,
Yeah,
that's like Bitcoin.
that's a zone that I had. But Powell kept talking, and I was like, "Yo, this is just not healthy, bro. Like, I just don't know how." Like, if you look at the 15-minute, bro, it's just that's the most unhealthy up move I've ever seen in my fucking life.
He's such a capaholic, bro. Pal.
Oh,
Motherfucker's like, the U.S. economy is very healthy.
he said the banks are strong right now. I was like, bro, shut the fuck up.
It's like I'm sure the bank is
Um,
probably strong. They always are strong because they
right?
get bailed out. Like the fuck does that mean?
I'm looking at the fair value gap at 11,536 to 11,556. Because the market's bullish. He just started talking. He's just stopped talking. Yep, he stopped talking.
He's
Damn,
just
don't
now
tell me
stop. Wait,
this ain't
he
gonna let me
just now
in.
stopped talking. He talked this whole fucking time.
Yeah, that's because he was in. So when he talks, he's not like necessarily talking. He's getting questioned by Congress.
Yeah, yeah. He's
So they're
testifying.
hammering him with fucking questions. And the one thing that he's good at doing is playing like he's like a fucking he's like the avatar with water. His water bending skills are amazing because
Yeah,
he
no,
just
he is.
fucking, oh, we do not comment on such and such policy. Oh, we do not comment on legislative policy. I was like, what the fuck, nigga? What you mean you don't comment on this shit?
Bro.
We're relying
Said something.
on
He
you.
bent something in that last couple minutes, it looks like, by looking at NQ. He said something somebody didn't like. This is like a phallic. It's like, I swear, bro. Like it's crazy how you can literally paint the manipulation on chart. Like literally, what happened here? Like they're like
Mhm.
the elite and like the large funds are like, yeah, all these stupid ass fucking retail's gonna buy the fuck out of this shit. Like we're
Yep,
just
it's
gonna
like induced longs. Let's
like,
go.
dude, literally, and it literally induces them right to a fucking supply zone, clears a
Yep.
high. Everyone's like, we're breaking out. Oh my god, holy fuck! And then it's like, bro, like just dumped on. It could continue the upside. Who knows? I'm talking too early. But if this does just break down, because really right here, I mean, theoretically, depending on what happened first here, like I want to see if this happened first. So if we go to like a 1 minute, um, okay, so the high did happen first. So here was your change of character, and this is like
Yep.
I'm kind of aggressive with this. Like a lot of people, I look at it from like state like so. Okay, if I'm looking, okay, if in real time, if I was back here and I had the candle next to me break this high. Well, that's my new low. Even if it breaks high and the same candle breaks down, you know, which is what happened. We don't know. We can't see that here, but if we look at the 1 minute, I can draw that line. Okay, from the bottom of this, what happened? We broke up. So then we broke down. So that's your bearish change of character. So like here would be your supply zone, and for me, it'd be the fractal wick on this right
Mhm.
there, or you could just use all of it. But it looks not good, which is what
I
I
was
want.
trying to catch longs from that level down there to that fractal supply up there.
I want like max pain across all markets today. What do you say? He said something about J Pal said, "Fucking the world of stablecoins lacks the necessary regulatory scheme. We need a framework for stablecoins and other digital assets." GG's. Dump it, J Pal. Dump it. There we go. That's what we talked to this morning. Redistribution. Literally, people that aren't even on the server could just tune into these streams every day and like save themselves from getting fucked in so many ways. I swear. Because people were longing this right here. Like, oh, we're pumping, we're reversing. Man, this shit. I still see a couple potential reversal zones, but to me, this is like picture perfect to ask if like the 4 hour pullback is over. But, because market structure leads us to target this low down here. Because I saw a lot of people targeting this demand zone, and like I have a TP there, but I wasn't taking full there because like I just don't get like it's like okay, this was internal structure break, and we had demand, but when we really look at it, what demand really caused that was this flip zone, and it already got satisfied. I took a long off that shit, so it's like oh, I don't know why we're longing from here, like thinking we're gonna just totally reverse. Like it might, but it kind of is counterintuitive to the strategies we're using. Because if you're using demand, you're using market structure, and then market structure is telling you we're going for this low. If you reversed, now we could just accumulate, and you could see a reversal there, but I would need price to go down there and then like change bullish in the 4 hour for me to really take that level with any kind of seriousness. Oh yeah, this shit is fucking dumping. TP3 is about to clap. Yo, that position I have on the fucking trial, I haven't even like trimmed it. I just moved my stops up to entry instead of taking. And I swear though, but like my Binance position, I trimmed just to de-risk because I was pretty heavy. But I'm not taking. Um, I'm gonna hold on to it for right now because the last move I took um up here, this trade, I took most of it way too fucking early. I mean, it was still an amazing trade, but that was literally like I could have caught that lower high. I stayed in, like I caught this, and then it didn't stop me out over here. Like it came like a look how close this shit was, bro. It was like literally, it was like pennies away, or like a dollar or something. You know, it was a couple bucks. And then, but what I did though, whenever price came down and took this low again, I took all of it. I took all of it right there. And I was like, bro, you're a fucking idiot. Like, why did you just do that? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what the fuck were you like? Because I literally targeted. This was my target, and I just should have just held it, and it would have been like, fuck, bro. That's from it's 25R, would have been 38R. That's why this time I did catch shorts down here when we were down towards these weekly equal lows, but so this time if my bias is correct, I think that's what's occurring here.
Yo, Casper.
What's good?
Oh, is that my boy Scorpion? You
Yeah,
finally came
Scorpion.
over here. Everybody fell asleep over there.
Yeah,
J-Pop
yeah.
dumped.
I went to get my food. I put in the kitchen, and then obviously that's where the food is. Anyway, I went in the kitchen, and then my mom was just there, so I was just chatting with my mom the whole time.
Hell yeah.
And then I totally forgot. Oh shit.
Yo, this JPY better not fucking do this right now. Oh my god. Why is it doing this right now?
And
I mean, I know why
another
it's doing
superpower is
it,
buying
but
the yen to dump it into Japanese bonds. So don't
oh,
worry, it'll
absolutely.
fucking die soon. That's the craziest shit, bro. Have you been watching that shit?
Yeah.
Like, bro, I think it's not the yield chart. No, I need the yield chart. Put the Y. But oh, look at it. Literally, bro. What let's like look at that. That's literally what's happening. That's why watch the yen pairs are gonna get real fucked up here real quick. Okay, is this daily chart like broken? Wait, hold on. Let me look at the 4 hour. Oh, never mind. There's a candle right here. Yeah, this shit is fucked, bro. Like absolutely fucked. Monthly, you're in that supply zone, but it's I don't necessarily. I'm just plotting that for fun with bonds. This is more fundamental. You haven't seen this kind of momentum in a long time, or actually really saw on this chart. So we see like big bonds, the yields of bonds rising 250%, in 2 years or 3 years. We've seen them rise, but it's like look at that, it's like 50%, or like you haven't seen this like this before. It's always this was like the worst before that. That was 2013. And for those of you watching, what these indicate, countries and large economic powers, whether it's governments or just uh, the whales of real life, I guess you'd say, they're hedging their investments into risk-off assets because they think the world is going into a risk-off state, aka kind of like a recession type vibe, or moving into that. So currencies like the yen are used. That's why the yen's are dumping so much, as they're purchased by other countries because these bonds have to be bought in yen, and these bonds are known as some of these safest assets, or safest investments, for large investors during times of unrest. So when you start to see this, each day, and there's 4 hour candles here that are 90%, 90 or 80%. Like, what the fuck is going on? It's insanity. This is another pair. This is another thing you can use to determine that. So the franc, Algo's actually gone into this quite a few times and explains it well. We have the franc that investors flock to because of their economy is a little more hands off from all the bullshit that other economies deal with, and they're a little more independent. So the franc, is seen as a store of value. So if you see the U.S. dollar against the franc dumping, that means the franc is stronger than the dollar, which we see in this distribution up here. back in May. We talked about this on stream, and then I just completely fumbled and didn't have an alert set. And then, you know, we saw what happened. But I do have an alert set here. This actually looks pretty good. Like, we might see this move a little bit, because especially if money starts flowing out of assets and goes into the dollar and DXY gets stronger, we might see this gap get filled and get some more opportunities here. I'm actually going to set an alert at the bottom of this last daily candle too. Use some ICT logic, because the way he does order blocks is so weird. Like, he uses like the bottom wick of like the last, or like one of the up candles. Like, that's how he'll do it. It's weird. Like, he would use like something like this, and it'd be a break around a low time frame. But I'm looking to swing some shorts on this soon. I bet you didn't want to TP high yet.
Always talking about weed inflation, how it hasn't hit yet.
Looks like we're engineering more sell side here. If we push up to the upside, let's see. This looks like low time redistribution. Like, this is like the same pattern we saw like in the 4 hour. A lot of times we have like that massive move up, push back down, push up, and everything's for bullish, and we just literally, it's like someone just sniped a fucking bird out of the sky. If we go back to the 4 hour, we saw this, or 1 hour probably show it better. We saw this a lot, like this right here. It's this same schematic right there. So you push down here. Let's actually just draw. I'm just curious. I want to draw a fractal. I haven't drawn a fractal in a while. I used to be all about these. So like, if you look at that, that's like a pretty good redistribution schematic. I'm just curious. That's at 1 hour from Bitcoin back in, you know, wherever the fuck that was, like April or March or something. I'm just curious to what this will look like. You see that the similarities, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but we have that price coming down, we're engineering liquidity, leaving the supply that pushed us down, and then we see this massive run up. It's like that arch. You move up, and then you come up and test. That's kind of like right here. Might look better if I was on a different time frame too. That, this is probably a little clearer. Oops. That right there. It's a little different. You know, nothing's going to be perfect. But if you see, we have that arch. We engineer that buy side right there. People think this is our breakout limit, pushes up, but we're just pushing into an old zone of supply. So if you go back to the 1 hour and you look at that zone that we just drew that from, that was over right here. Yeah, that zone of supply. It's the same thing. This is very similar. Hopefully we get this action. Seems like we kind of already have a little bit on that 15-minute. Nice move away from it, so we can see where price is moving. You know, you need to always pay attention, like, where is price moving violently away from? Those are levels you wanna watch, that displacement. But on that note, I'm gonna hop off here. Probably no new trades for me today. I have some Forex alerts set, but you know, there's no need to force stuff. We're already up insane off these shorts. So yeah, if you have any questions, just at me, DM me, whatever. And if not, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.